Welcome to the silvered silence of the Stardust Gardens, a soothing and enchanting sleep story designed to lull you into a peaceful slumber. If you enjoy this content and would like to see more like it, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Before we step into the tranquil realm of the Stardust Gardens, we'll begin with a gentle breathing guidance to help you relax and prepare for this restful journey. If you prefer to skip directly to the story, you can find the timestamps for each chapter in the description below. Now, find a comfortable position, allowing your body to settle deeply into your bed. Feel the gentle support beneath you, like soft moss cradling you in stillness. Let your arms rest at your sides, palms open, and allow your legs to lengthen and relax. Adjust your blankets or pillows to create a nest of cozy comfort. This is your sanctuary, your time to release the day and welcome the quietude of evening. Let the silvered silence of the Stardust Gardens begin to wash over you, guiding you towards a state of profound relaxation. Let us take a calming breath together. Gently inhale through your nose, imagining you are breathing in the soft, silver light of the moon. Feel the air fill your lungs with ease and grace. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth, like a soft sigh releasing any tension held within. With each breath, feel your body becoming heavier, more relaxed, sinking deeper into the support beneath you. Imagine the fragrant air of the Stardust Gardens, scented with night-blooming jasmine and calming lavender, filling your senses with peace. Visualize the Lunaria flowers, their moonlight petals unfurling in silent beauty, bringing tranquility to your mind. If your thoughts begin to wander, that is perfectly all right. Simply acknowledge them gently and then let them drift away, like stardust particles floating on a still breeze. Gently guide your attention back to your breath, or to the sound of my voice, or to the imagery of the Stardust Gardens. There is nothing you need to do now, nothing to strive for, except to listen and allow the story to carry you into a restful sleep. Feel the gentle stillness of the gardens, the quiet pulse of life within, surrounding you with a sense of safety and peace. Let it carry away any worries, any lingering stresses, any remnants of the day. Allow yourself to become one with the silvered silence of the gardens. Now, let us begin our journey into this serene realm, where the gentle magic of stillness awaits to guide you into a deep and restorative slumber. Chapter 1. The Weary Scholar's Journey. Elowen felt the weight of countless tomes pressing down on her, not physically, but in the weariness that settled deep within her bones. Deadlines loomed like shadowy figures in the corners of her study, their whispers of urgency a constant nagging presence. The scent of aged parchment and ink, usually comforting, now felt stifling, a reminder of the relentless demands of her scholarly life. Her shoulders ached with a tension that seemed to have taken root and flourished, and a persistent tightness gripped her temples, a dull throb accompanying the endless stream of research notes and manuscript drafts. She closed her eyes, leaning back in her worn wooden chair, and allowed her mind to drift. It was then, amidst the swirling thoughts of footnotes and citations, that a memory surfaced, a whisper of an old tale heard long ago in her grandmother's cozy cottage. The Stardust Gardens, her grandmother had called them, a place of unparalleled tranquility, where the very air hummed with stillness and the flowers bloomed with moonlight. A place, she had said, for weary hearts and troubled minds to find solace. The image of the gardens, painted in soft hues of silver and moonlight in her mind's eye, offered a momentary respite from the demanding reality of her study. A longing, gentle yet insistent, began to stir within her, a yearning for the quiet peace that the gardens promised. The idea took root, blossoming into a quiet determination. She would seek out these Stardust Gardens, she decided, and allow their whispered magic to soothe her frayed nerves and restore her weary spirit. The following morning, with a lightness in her step she hadn't felt in weeks, Elowen set out. Her journey began on a winding path that meandered through sun-dappled meadows, a welcome change from the shadowed corridors of the university. The air was alive with the gentle buzzing of bees, their industrious hum a soothing counterpoint to the silence she craved, and the scent of wildflowers, a sweet, delicate fragrance drifted on the soft breeze. She paused to inhale deeply, letting the floral perfume fill her lungs, a cleansing breath that seemed to wash away some of the academic dust clinging to her soul. The path, barely more than a sheep track in places, led her onward, upward into rolling hillsides. The sun, a warm, benevolent presence, shone down upon her, bathing the landscape in a golden light. She felt its warmth seeping into her skin, melting away the lingering chill of the library's stone walls. Beneath her worn leather sandals, the earth was soft and yielding, a comforting texture that grounded her with each step. She noticed the vibrant green of the grass, interspersed with splashes of color from poppies and daisies, a visual feast for eyes accustomed to the monochrome world of books. As she walked, she allowed her thoughts to drift, no longer tethered to academic demands. She observed the dance of butterflies amongst the wildflowers, their delicate wings catching the sunlight, and listened to the gentle murmur of a nearby stream, its water gurgling over smooth stones. The sounds of nature, unhurried and harmonious, began to weave a spell of calm around her, easing the tightness in her chest and softening the persistent knot in her brow. Hours passed in this gentle rhythm of walking and observing. The sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of apricot and rose. The air grew cooler, carrying the earthy scent of damp soil and the promise of evening dew. Elowen felt a pleasant tiredness settling upon her limbs, a physical weariness that was different from the mental exhaustion she had been carrying. This was the weariness of a body gently exercised, a tiredness that promised restful sleep. As dusk deepened, she reached a secluded valley, nestled amongst the hills. A sense of quiet anticipation settled within her. Could this be it? Could this be the valley where the Stardust Gardens lay hidden? The air here was noticeably stiller, quieter, imbued with a profound sense of peace. She felt a gentle pull, an unseen invitation, drawing her deeper into the valley's embrace, towards the promise of silvered silence and moonlit blooms. Chapter 2. Entering the Silvered Gardens. At the entrance to the valley, nestled between two ancient willow trees, stood an archway unlike any Elowen had ever seen. The sounds of the outside world, the distant bird song, the rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, seemed to fade away, replaced by a profound, enveloping silence. It wasn't an empty silence, but a rich, resonant stillness, a silence that felt alive, expectant. The air itself seemed to thicken, becoming cool and still against her skin, carrying a faint, sweet fragrance, a blend of night-blooming jasmine and damp earth, both delicate and grounding. The visual landscape shifted too. Gone were the bright greens and vibrant colors of the meadows. Here, the palette was softer, muted, dominated by shades of silver, gray, and pale green, all bathed in a soft, diffused light that seemed to emanate from the very plants themselves. The trees were slender, their leaves a delicate silver gray, rustling gently even in the absence of any discernible breeze, their sound a soft, whispering murmur. Unfamiliar plants, unlike any she had seen in her botanical studies, grew in profusion, their forms graceful and ethereal. Beneath her feet, the ground transformed from earthy soil to a carpet of soft moss, yielding gently with each step, like walking on a cloud. The texture was cool and velvety, a soothing sensation against her bare feet, grounding her yet also making her feel weightless. She paused, closing her eyes for a moment, and simply breathed, inhaling the still, fragrant air, feeling the soft moss beneath her feet, and listening to the profound silence that enveloped her. The tension in her shoulders, which had been her constant companion for so long, seemed to loosen its grip, replaced by a gradual sense of ease. Opening her eyes, Elowen began to walk deeper into the gardens. The path, now paved with smooth, pale stones, wound gently through the silvered flora. On either side, plants with leaves like spun moonlight unfurled delicate tendrils, their surfaces shimmering with an inner luminescence. She noticed tiny, twinkling particles clinging to the petals and leaves, catching the soft light and scattering it in subtle, mesmerizing patterns. It truly did seem as if stardust had been sprinkled throughout this enchanted place. She reached out a hand, hesitantly at first, and gently touched a leaf that resembled polished silver. It was cool to the touch, smooth and almost metallic in texture, yet also strangely soft and yielding. As her fingers brushed against it, she felt a faint vibration, a subtle hum that resonated through her hand and up her arm, a feeling of gentle energy flowing through her. It was a sensation both calming and invigorating, like a cool, refreshing stream washing over her. Further along the path, she came across a small clearing, bathed in a slightly brighter, though still soft silver light. In the center of the clearing, a fountain gently trickled, its water seeming to emerge from a bed of luminous pebbles. The sound of the water was incredibly muted, almost imperceptible, yet it was there, a constant gentle murmur that added to the overall sense of tranquility, like whispered secrets in the stillness. The fountain basin was crafted from pale, smooth stone, cool to the touch, and adorned with carvings of flowers that resembled the strange flora of the gardens. Elowen sat down beside the fountain, resting her back against a moss-covered stone. The cool stone was comforting against her skin, and the gentle murmur of the water was soothing to her ears. She closed her eyes again, letting the silvered silence of the Stardust Gardens fully envelop her. She felt a deep sense of peace settling within her, a quiet calm that seemed to emanate from the very air around her. The weariness of her journey and the deeper weariness of her scholarly life began to recede, replaced by a sense of profound rest and gentle anticipation for what the gardens might reveal. Chapter 3. The Blooming of the Lunaria. As Elowen sat by the fountain, a subtle shift in the light drew her attention. Looking around the clearing, she noticed a cluster of flowers she hadn't seen before, their forms more luminous, more ethereal than any of the other plants in the garden. They were clustered around the edges of the clearing, their stems slender and graceful, reaching upwards like delicate silver threads. Their petals, the color of soft moonlight, were still tightly furled, like unopened secrets waiting to be revealed. A gentle warmth seemed to emanate from these flowers, a subtle radiance that bathed the clearing in an even softer, more peaceful light. Elowen felt drawn to them, a quiet pull of curiosity and anticipation. She rose slowly, her limbs feeling lighter, more relaxed than they had in days, and walked towards the luminous blossoms. As she approached, she noticed that the air around them seemed to shimmer slightly, as if the very silence was taking on a visible form, a gentle silvered haze. She sat down amongst the flowers, the soft moss cushioning her once more. She watched, mesmerized, as the moonlight petals began to unfurl, slowly, gracefully, like the unfolding of a dream. Each petal, as it opened, seemed to release a soft silvered light, and a wave of profound stillness washed over the clearing. It was as if the flowers themselves were breathing silence into the air, a tangible, calming presence. These, she realized, must be the Lunaria, the moonlit blooms that were said to be the heart of the Stardust Gardens' magic. The unfolding of the Lunaria petals was a slow, deliberate process, each movement imbued with a sense of quiet grace. There was no rush, no urgency, just a gentle, unfolding beauty. Elowen watched for what felt like a long time, lost in the mesmerizing rhythm of their blooming. As the petals fully opened, revealing delicate silvery centers, the silvered silence intensified, becoming almost palpable. It wasn't just the absence of sound, but a positive presence, a feeling of deep peace and mental stillness that settled over her like a soft blanket. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to be fully immersed in the Lunaria's silence. She felt the gentle warmth radiating from the blooms, seeping into her skin, relaxing her muscles, soothing her mind. The persistent tightness in her temples seemed to dissolve completely, replaced by a sense of spaciousness and clarity. The constant stream of thoughts that usually filled her mind slowed to a gentle trickle, then subsided almost entirely, leaving behind a quiet, peaceful emptiness. She focused on her breath, feeling the air flow in and out of her lungs with effortless ease. Each inhale brought with it the fragrant, silvered silence of the Lunaria, and each exhale carried away any remaining tension, any lingering anxieties. She felt her body softening, releasing any unconscious clenching or holding, sinking deeper into the support of the mossy ground. The feeling was one of profound relaxation, of being completely at ease, completely present in this moment of quiet beauty. Opening her eyes again, she reached out and gently touched a Lunaria petal. It was cool to the touch, smooth and delicate, like silk infused with moonlight. As her fingers brushed against it, she felt a subtle vibration, a gentle hum that seemed to resonate with the stillness within her own heart. It was a feeling of connection, of harmony, of being in tune with the peaceful rhythm of the gardens. The clearing, bathed in the soft silver light of the fully bloomed Lunaria, felt like a sanctuary, a haven of tranquility set apart from the noise and demands of the outside world. Elowen sat there for hours, simply observing, breathing, and being, allowing the silvered silence of the Lunaria to wash over her, to cleanse her mind, and to restore her weary spirit. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for this peaceful place, for the gentle magic of the Stardust Gardens, and for the quiet wisdom of the moonlit blooms. Chapter 4. Whispers of the Silent Blooms. As the day progressed in the Stardust Gardens, Elowen continued to explore, venturing beyond the clearing of Lunaria blooms. The gardens were a labyrinth of silvered pathways, each turn revealing new wonders, new forms of silent, luminous flora. She discovered plants with leaves that shimmered like opals, reflecting the soft light in a kaleidoscope of gentle hues. There were flowers that resembled spun moonlight, their delicate petals almost translucent, and others with surfaces like polished silver, cool and smooth to the touch. She noticed that each plant seemed to possess its own unique form of silence, its own way of contributing to the overall atmosphere of tranquility. Some emitted a visual silence, their forms so still, so perfectly composed, that they seemed to emanate a sense of quietude. Others released a tactile silence, their textures the soft moss, the cool petals, the smooth stones inviting touch and promoting a sense of grounded calmness. And some, she realized, whispered a silent sound. A vibration felt more than heard, a gentle hum that resonated deep within. She spent time by a patch of silver-leaved ferns, their delicate fronds unfurling in slow, graceful spirals. As she sat amongst them, she felt a subtle cooling sensation, a gentle lowering of her body temperature that was incredibly refreshing in the soft, diffused light. The air around the ferns seemed even stiller, the silence deeper, as if they were actively absorbing any lingering noise or restlessness. She closed her eyes and listened, or rather didn't listen, allowing the profound silence of the ferns to wash over her. Moving on, she came to a grove of slender trees with bark like polished pewter. These trees, unlike the whispering willows at the entrance, stood utterly still, their branches reaching upwards in silent supplication. Beneath them grew small, ground-hugging plants with petals like polished silver coins. As she sat at the base of one of these trees, leaning against its cool, smooth bark, she noticed the faintest humming sound, a vibration that seemed to emanate from the silver coin flowers. It was a sound so subtle, it was almost imperceptible, yet she could feel it, a gentle resonance in her chest, a soothing vibration that calmed her heart rate and deepened her breath. She spent hours exploring the gardens, touching, observing, and simply being present in the silvered silence. She learned to perceive the different nuances of stillness, the visual silence of perfectly formed leaves, the tactile silence of soft moss and cool petals, and the vibrational silence of the humming flowers. She began to understand that the silvered silence was not just an absence of sound, but a rich, multifaceted presence, a gentle whisper that encouraged introspection, inner stillness, and a deep connection to the quiet beauty of nature. As the afternoon waned, she returned to the clearing of Lunaria blooms. The moonlight petals, now fully opened, seemed to glow with an even softer, more luminous light. She sat amongst them once more, feeling the familiar wave of tranquility wash over her. She realized that the Stardust Gardens were not just a place of respite, but a teacher, gently guiding her towards a deeper understanding of inner peace. The silvered silence was not something external, but something she could cultivate within herself, a stillness of mind and heart that she could carry with her even beyond the garden's boundaries. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath of the fragrant Lunaria-scented air. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for this enchanted place, for the gentle magic of the stardust and the silent blooms. She knew that her time in the gardens was drawing to a close, but she also knew that she would carry the silvered silence within her, a quiet sanctuary she could return to whenever the world felt too loud, too demanding, too overwhelming. The whispers of the silent blooms had taught her the beauty of stillness, the power of quietude, and the enduring peace that could be found within. Chapter 5. Returning with Stillness. The first hint of dawn began to paint the sky outside the Stardust Gardens in soft hues of rose and lavender, a gentle prelude to the day. Elowen awoke in the clearing of Lunaria blooms, feeling refreshed and renewed, as if she had slept for 100 years and awakened in a world reborn. The silvered silence of the garden still enveloped her, but now it felt less like an external presence and more like an integral part of herself, a quiet hum of peace resonating within her. She stretched languidly, feeling the suppleness in her limbs, the lightness in her body. The tension that had been her constant companion had completely vanished, replaced by a sense of ease and well-being she had almost forgotten existed. She rose slowly, feeling grounded and centered, her movements deliberate and unhurried, mirroring the gentle unfolding of the Lunaria petals. She spent a final hour in the gardens, revisiting her favorite spots, the clearing of Lunaria, the silver fern grove, the grove of pewter trees, and silver coin flowers. She touched the cool petals one last time, inhaled the fragrant air, and listened to the profound silence, imprinting the sensory experience deeply within her memory. She felt a sense of quiet gratitude for the gardens, for their gentle magic, and for the profound peace they had offered her. As she prepared to leave, she walked back towards the willow archway, the entrance to the gardens. Looking back at the clearing of Lunaria blooms, bathed in the soft pre-dawn light, she felt a pang of gentle sadness at leaving, but also a deep sense of contentment. She knew she was taking something precious with her, something intangible yet deeply transformative, the silvered silence within her own heart. Stepping back through the willow archway was a subtle shift, less dramatic than her entrance. The sounds of the outside world returned gradually, the gentle bird song of dawn, the rustle of leaves in the morning breeze. They seemed less jarring than she remembered, more harmonious, as if her senses had been subtly recalibrated by the garden's stillness. The colors of the outside world, too, seemed more vibrant, more alive, now viewed through the lens of the silvered silence. She walked away from the valley, retracing her steps along the winding path. The sun rose higher, casting long, peaceful shadows around her. She noticed the beauty of the meadows with fresh eyes, the vibrant colors of the wildflowers, the intricate patterns of the leaves, the gentle dance of the butterflies. She listened to the bird song, the murmur of the stream, the rustle of the breeze, and found a new appreciation for the quiet symphony of nature. As she journeyed back towards the university, she carried the silvered silence within her, a quiet sanctuary she could access at any time, in any place. The demands of her scholarly life would still be there, the deadlines, the expectations, the pressures, but she knew she could now face them with a newfound sense of calm and clarity. She had learned the power of stillness, the beauty of quietude, and the enduring peace that resided within. The Stardust Gardens had given her a gift of inner tranquility, a silvered silence that would accompany her on her journey, guiding her towards a more balanced, more peaceful, and more fulfilling life. And as she walked, she smiled, a gentle, quiet smile, reflecting the serene stillness of the gardens she carried within her heart.